Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome into episode number 3 of our WCW 1998 save in TEW 2020. This is our first edition of Thunder, week 1, January, and we've got a lot of action in this episode. I will say I can probably already guess that this episode rating is not going to do great because something I didn't think of before we actually decided to book this show, more specifically the shows before it. Since we are taping 2 episodes of Saturday Night ahead of Thunder, I think we're going to get the crowd burnout thing at some point in this show. I don't even think it's possible for us to prevent that because I'm pretty sure with 2 Saturday Night tapings, which I took down to an hour each, that's still 2 hours. This show is 2 hours of Thunder, so I want to say, like, when we look at the handbook, I think it's like 3.5 hours. I think before you start to get burnout penalties. My guess is we're obviously going to hit that 4-hour mark with looking at this too. So that is something we will need to change. We'll probably just go to taping 1 episode, I guess, of Saturday night, unless I'm reading that wrong. But my guess is we're probably going to get a burnout note here in this episode, which is not great because that means our rating will probably be dragged down for the second in a row. But not, as I said before, first couple episodes are usually shows that do not do well, just from my standpoint of trying to build up the booking and that kind of stuff. So as long as, again, WWF doesn't put us out of business after 2 shows, we will correct course, and I think we'll be just fine. But let's do pre-show here, which I did kind of trim down, hoping to maybe prevent that number, but then I realized it's not going to matter either way. So we did give Rick Steiner and Steven Regal here 5 minutes on the pre-show, 51 overall. Not a whole lot to say about this. Of course, Rick Steiner, one half of our WCW Tag Team Champions right now, but not a lot more to it for that. But let's jump into the main show because we got a lot of stuff to get to on that. And it starts with an angle here, as it is Dean Malenko heading to the ring. He's got a match coming up with Chris Jericho, and before the match starts, here comes Eddie Guerrero, who makes his way into the ringside area, scouting, and Eddie with that usual Eddie Guerrero smile on his face, and he is just got that snicker. You know how Eddie is. He gives you a little grin, and there's a little not so good in there somewhere. He has got something perhaps in mind for Malenko, but Malenko clearly not thrilled about it. But let's see how it works out for him heading into our opening match, which does do pretty well here, 71. As it is Dean Malenko getting the win over Chris Jericho. A surprise cradle does the trick there. So we did do the flash pinfall note on this one. 12 minutes. We did also make them kind of do the all-out things. We did steal the show, so it's the same. But we made it, call in the ring. These two have good psychology, so we did all that to try to bump the rating up, and clearly we did that here. So another good cruiserweight match, you'll see. I mean, really, this is how WCW did it, I guess, for the most part back in, this era. A lot of cruiserweight matches that open the show. You want that sort of fast-paced action to really get things going, and that's kind of the thought process here, booking our first couple of shows, is to keep that going, because I did like that. You can really open the show with some really great action, and a really good match here with a 71 as Malenko. Surprise cradle for the win, but we're not finished with Malenko, as Chris Jericho not happy as to lose that match, so he's celebrating, and he jumps Malenko from behind, beats him down. Eddie Guerrero still in the front row, and once again, Eddie Guerrero with a nice little evil grin as he is sitting there watching this play out after we said, Eddie's match with Malenko at Starrcade and all that. So Eddie sitting back and enjoying, even though Malenko got the win, which did not probably make our Cruiserweight champion happy. He at least gets to watch Jericho beat down Malenko after the match. And we see here that Dean's getting better at his gimmick too, so that helps. And then it's Goldberg, 87. He's coming, folks. Goldberg is here. Goldberg backstage, and he's got a question for you. You probably know what that is. He wants to know who's next. Who's next for Goldberg? And that's really all he says. He just wants to know who's next, and he makes his way to the ring. And we're going to find out who's next for Goldberg here, who gives us a great rating early on. And it is Fit Finlay who is next, as Goldberg, 249 with the pin on Fit, and hits the jackhammer to do the trick there. 52, not a great match, but I mean, we know what to expect with Goldberg here. And again, we will start to sort of see our ratings increase on a lot of our segments, and we're just sort of the build up. And you can watch, if you've watched the WWE 2021 series I did, I mean, you look back at our first two shows, they were awful from a rating standpoint, but it was all part of the plan, and hopefully to build to bigger and better things. And I also like the fact that with WCW we do have Nitro and Thunder. It's not a hard brand split or anything, so we can mix and match things here and there, and be a little more creative and experiment a little bit more with how we want to actually use talent. So we'll see that in the coming episodes. But Goldberg, squash, win, the streak continues. And it's Booker T, who basically he's got the microphone. Booker T's pissed. He got attacked by Raven and Saturn on Nitro. And Booker said he's ready for that match with Raven. He takes on all comers. He's ready. Let's step in the ring tonight. Let's have a match. Booker T, Raven, he's ready for it. So Booker, good stuff here, improvising and all of that. We gain heat with the storyline. I mentioned on the last episode, I thought we needed 3 storylines at 65 or higher to meet that criteria. Turns out it was 5. So I had to make some tweaks to some of our storylines to make sure we hit that criteria on this episode. I think we will. I think we'll get enough. I think we'll get 5 at 65 or higher. But it did take some tweaks to do that. But Booker T's walking out. He's ready for a match. Like, he wants Raven tonight. Booker's not one to back down from anything. So he's walking out ready for a match. But it is Raven who says that just like everyone else, and I always like this, how they did it with Raven, because, he's kind of the cult leader playing that character, which is his gimmick that we're using here. Raven says it's not that easy. If Booker T wants to get to him, he's going to have to go through the flock. And Raven says even though he wants that television championship, he's willing to wait and be patient because he's a very patient man. And he will pick his spots. And for now, Booker has to go through the flock to get to him. So another, good improvisation here from Booker T. 65, nice. I mean, a nice segment. Not anything, great, but we are gaining heat with that storyline, and that's what we want. So we're going to have Booker's match against the first member of the flock here, which I am a little bit nervous about because I don't know how this is going to go. And 44. So this is actually, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was hoping we wouldn't hit like the 30s or something, but another sort of quick match here as it is Booker getting the win over Riggs, 523, uses the missile dropkick to get the victory. I kind of looking, and this is where we start to really study what we're going to see from some of our people here. I mean, really everything did well here. I mean, Booker getting the bonus for the star quality and all that. Nothing knocks this segment, so it gets a 44 and had no penalties. So that, I think, kind of tells you where Riggs is at from a popularity standpoint. But Booker T is still on the upswing. Like, he's not quite there yet, but we're working on that. In-ring performance here, 56. So Booker gets a win, and we'll see how this storyline with the flock plays out in the coming weeks. And it's Scott Hall, who is, made it clear that Larry Zbyszko, he still, had his sights set on him and this feud that these two have had over the past little while. And Hall cuts another promo running down Zbyszko, calling him an old-timer, that he's past his prime, and that he's still waiting. When Larry wants to come back, and we're kind of playing up a storyline to where, Zbyszko was left down and out. We're going to say that happened before the save started, just to, again, add in some story to this. But Hall still waiting for Larry, and they'll have their match whenever Hall wants to. And if Larry decides to ever show up again, that's kind of the, your heel Scott Hall promo here. And it does well to get a 77, so we're good with that. And then actually a good match here. Scott Hall getting the win over Ray Traylor, 8:30, using the outsider's edge there. And it looks like Louis Piccoli did some good work here, too, at ringside, so that's a positive as well. Good match here. I mean, 74. I mean, I guess if we look at sort of what we got from this, Hall inconsistency, Traylor poor momentum, but other than that, like pretty good stuff here as Hall gets the win, builds up a little bit more momentum, obviously heading towards an inevitable feud, perhaps match with Larry Zbyszko. And we get a video package kind of looking at the Giant and Nash here. This starts the storyline again. We had to tweak our storylines a bit. It only gets a 60, but there wasn't a whole lot that I really could do with this. It's sort of like a holdover segment to get to the bigger segments that we have to come, on the coming episodes. But I wasn't sure what this would do from a rating standpoint. It doesn't do great here. But we'll certainly tweak that a little bit as well. I mean, this is a learning process in the first couple episodes. You really kind of see what works, what doesn't with some of these segments. But we get a video package kind of looking at the feud between these two and really, the hatred that is kind of built up between them. And then, after the Giant was looking around for Nash, waiting for him, when is he, ever going to come back, all this other stuff he was talking about on Nitro, well, we get a video of actually Nash, not at the arena, but it is Nash saying that he's taking his time. He'll return whenever he's ready, and so it's kind of like they're mocking the Giant here. Hall said the same thing about Nash, saying he would come back when he's ready. Hall said that in his promo on Nitro. So you kind of have, the NWO here picking when they're going to have their matches, and Nash said he's in no hurry. He'll face the Giant when he's ready, and so the Giant probably getting a little bit impatient here, and we'll see how that plays out. But this helped to get a 75 to get us with this storyline started to gain some heat, so that's also a good thing there in this particular segment. And then it is Lex Luger and Scott Steiner interview backstage. It is going to be a tag team match we've got coming up here. Luger and Scott against Randy Savage and Buff Bagwell. 64, again, kind of not great. And remember, our overness as a company is like 86 or 87. So there is no chance of this show hitting that in any form or fashion these first couple episodes. But we kind of hyped up, this match. Luger they got the win last week in the 6-man tag. Savage attacked afterwards. And now they're just continuing this feud here, this NWO, WCW, as we see. This was sort of the built-in storyline that was in it, and I left it because, it had pretty decent heat, but we lose a little heat on that here. If we look at the dirt sheet, Luger's got low morale. We'll have to give him some money to get him happy. He actually has low morale because, remember, that 6-man tag we had, something that wasn't like the botch, I think, involving Buff or something. And so Luger came out of that with low morale, so we already have backstage issues. And we'll also just got some of the other stuff going on when it comes to signings and everything, because as you would expect, given the war between WCW and WWF, it is a race for talent right now to pick up some of the best signings out there. So we'll talk about that after this episode. But that's the hype for a tag team match, and that tag team match actually delivers here. 75. This is probably a little bit better than expected, but we're probably going to give the boost to that for Luger and Savage with the star power and all of that. Buff clearly struggled here at a 49. Savage at the height of everything at a 78. So that, once again, gains the heat in the storyline. Only goes 10 minutes. I didn't know how long exactly to give this one stamina-wise, but looks like that was a pretty good sweet spot here to only go about 10 minutes. So 75, we will certainly be pleased with that on this particular show. And I keep going through this. We see some of the penalties. I'm just waiting to see that burnout. I hope it doesn't happen, but I know it's probably going to happen. But it is Luger and Steiner getting the win to get the victory. It's Randy Savage getting the win over Steiner. I had that in reverse. We did have some shenanigans again involved, which is the NWO. You know what to expect. But it is Savage with the elbow drop after interference from Elizabeth. So Savage pins Scott here to get the victory. But a really nice tag team match. This exceeded expectations based on what perhaps I thought I was going to get from Buff and Scott in this one. So, nice stuff here. The feud continues with Savage, Luger, and the entire WCW NWO stuff we got going on. And it's Curt Hennig, head of our main event, which is our U.S. title match with Hennig challenging DDP for the U.S. title. Hennig earned that rematch on Nitro, got the win there over Ray Traylor. That was the stipulation from J.J. Dillon. And now Hennig hypes the match. Looks like Rick Rude helps us out here in this one. 76 overall, so good stuff. And I do have high expectations for this main event because we slotted it here because I thought from a match standpoint this would probably be the best one, although I was just a little bit surprised by that tag team match, WCW, NWO, Luger, and all that, Savage. So we'll see. I'm still going to check this because, okay, no burnout yet. So, okay, we're not quite there yet. I feel okay then. Let's see how this works out. But hopefully this main event delivers because we need it on this show. We need a good rating. So let's see what happens here as Hennig says that he's going to take back that U.S. title from DDP, and let's see if he's right. Well, he's not, but this does deliver as our best match on the show, 77. So that is at least a good thing there. But it is DDP hitting the Diamond Cutter after botched interference from Rick Rude. As we know, this is the NWO's forte here. There's always some sort of interference, or at least they're trying to. It worked in the tag team match, didn't work out in this one. As Rude botched interference, DDP hits the Diamond Cutter just like that, and DDP retains the United States Championship. His first defense of that title, beating Curt Hennig here. So great match. I mean, really, we're excited because this had to deliver, and we also advanced the storyline with that, so that helped too. If we look at kind of how we booked this one, yeah, there it is. I knew it had to have it at some point. Crowd's starting to get burned out, so that's going to hurt our overall rating. We already know that. If we look at how we booked this show, we did do Call in the Ring. We did go all out to kind of make this as good as we could. And so that certainly helped as well. But a nice win for DDP in our main event here on Thunder to retain the U.S. title. But we are not finished, as we got a couple more things to get to. And it starts with Bret Hart on the stage with Mean Gene. And Mean Gene wants his reaction to the announcement on Nitro that it would be Hogan versus Sting, the rematch for now the vacant WCW Championship at Sold Out, and the winner goes on to face Bret Hart at Super Brawl in another WCW title match. And Gene wants Bret's reaction, and Bret says, look, the reason I came to WCW is because I wanted to prove that I was still the best in the world, the best at what I do, and you know Bret, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, and that's what Bret wanted to prove by coming here, and now he's going to get his opportunity. And he says that he will be ready for the winner. He doesn't care if it's Hogan. He doesn't care if it's Sting. He'll be ready for the winner, and he will become the WCW champion at Super Brawl. So, Bret, just a sort of a simple, basic promo here to build up our two main events that we already have set for the next two pay-per-views. It's Sold Out and Super Brawl. But as we think the show is coming to an end, someone walks out, and it's Ric Flair. Ric Flair makes his way out. Huge crowd reaction. And Flair walks out. Gene is right there in the middle of them. And Bret is standing there on the stage with sort of a smirk. And Flair walks up, and both just sort of looking at each other with smirks on their face. And then we go off the air before anything else can happen, as we go off the air with the visual of Bret Hart and Ric Flair sort of going eye to eye there. And that is how we wrap up this episode of Thunder. So clearly a tease for perhaps what's to come. We'll see what happens on Nitro, but that's kind of your setup, your tease for what is Ric Flair doing, walking out to go, eye to eye with Bret Hart. We'll see what happens on Nitro. But we finished this with an 80. Good segment here. Again, being short, burnout. That's just the way it is. With this, we're gonna have to restructure kind of our taping schedule on that, and probably only book one episode of Saturday night instead of two. But we'll handle that, and we finish this episode with a 79, so obviously we're going to lose popularity because we are 86, 87, whatever it is overall. But overall, like I said, I mean, these first couple shows are experimental setup shows for what's to come, and that is kind of how I look at it. When I start these series, is just I know I'm going to lose some popularity. The first couple of shows are usually never great, but I mean, I'm not going to scoff at a 79. It did okay, and we set up a lot of storylines that we're going to have moving forward. But again, that is kind of the luxury of WCW is we don't have to cram everything into every single show because there's no brand split, and we do have 2 episodes each week to build towards the eventual pay-per-view. So essentially, we have 8 shows to build towards a pay-per-view. So that allows us to kind of spread some things out a little bit, set up some things for future weeks. So that's kind of where we're at on that. But let's see what we need to get to before we wrap up, and we will discuss some of the stuff going on with the WWF and the signings and all that. All right, so Thunder, positive, not striking gold as we like to do. We had some Saturday night tapings. I'll quickly show you the results of that. I just went through very quickly on these. I would not read anything into it on Saturday night. So there is our first taping, which was headlined by Rick Steiner defeating Bobby Eaton. We had Jericho, Conan, Rick Martel getting some wins in there. The other Saturday night taping, Barbarian over Glacier, Eddie over Hoovy, Malenko over La Parka, Davey Boy Smith over Fit Finley. We had a DDP promo in there as well. So those are the first couple Saturday night tapings. Do not read anything into those because those are just on-the-fly bookings that I just put together very quickly. So email-wise, we got a lot to look at here. So John Tenta, of course, the Earthquake. Any other moniker you want to look at with him? I did, have tried to. He's unemployed. I think he could be useful. Not saying, I'm going to tell you exactly what we would do with him if we sign him or anything like that. And I usually don't necessarily show these signings, but I think in this particular save, rather than keep things secret, which I will do on some of the stuff, but other things like this, I think it makes it more intriguing because we do have like a full-on war going on between WCW and WWF, whereas in my WWE game, there's really no competition. Sorry, AEW. Like they're not in the game. So that I think makes this more interesting to kind of look at the rival bids and all this other stuff. So we'll play that up a bit more in this particular save, more so than we do in our WWE one. So if we look at this, John Tenta, we've been trying to sign him here. We've gone through a couple rounds of trying to look at the offers, and the offers just keep going up. Like now it's up to $56,000 a month. I think our last offer was like $42,000. So I mean, he's getting a 10% bonus per event, a signing bonus, 35% merch. I mean, this is just, like ECW is trying to give him a handshake deal. So I'm not sure what we're going to do here with Tenta. I'm going to leave that there, but I'm going to decide what to do. I mean, I think we could use him because I think he's a good worker, but I don't know if we're going to pay him $57,000 a month. I'm a big John Tenta fan, so we'll see. We're going to leave that there. It looks like Sid Vicious. So Sid is also someone we've put on our short list, but we haven't made an offer to Sid. I think Sid's an interesting one too. I mean, we know, like from a star quality standpoint, he doesn't get much better. He's very over. There's certainly a place for Sid, but we also look at his skills, and like I don't know what we would necessarily get from a match standpoint. So because WWF hasn't made any offers to him yet, I'm just going to leave Sid there because I think that's one. With ECW making an offer, I'm not concerned about because we can outbid ECW and do all that. But that is something that I'm at least going to leave right there. And, well, it looks like Ric Flair is causing rifts, maybe a couple here. So, let's see. Ric Flair manipulating the locker room against Scott Steiner. Boy, we're off to a hell of a start here with the locker room. So Goldberg doesn't like Steiner now. Simmering tension. So now we got Riggs against Scott Steiner. All right. Who else? Raven against Scott. So the entire flock's going to hate Scott Steiner. Eddie and Scott doesn't like each other. That's great to know. Luger. These two just teamed up on the show, Flair. And come on, man. So Luger and Steiner, simmering tension. And Savage and Steiner, tension. Oh boy, this locker room experience is going to be something. I'm telling you, we are going to have so many of these after every show is my guess. We have got so many master manipulators in this locker room that this is going to be incredible to watch how this plays out. So the locker room already a mess. Thunder gets a 1.95, great. And that is that. Here on these, I'm not going to show you these because there's one that's, we're just a re-signing, but there's another we're bringing in that's I don't want to spoil. So we'll do that with some of them. We won't do that with all of them, but we'll do that with some of them. So there was Thunder. Like I said, I kind of know what to expect here. It looks like, we're still at an 86 after that show, but we're going to take a popularity hit in these first couple of shows. But now we kind of know what to expect. We've got the first week out of the way of the booking, and so we will make some changes to our taping schedule. And we also kind of know what we need to do from a storyline standpoint and rating standpoint to boost some of these moving forward. So that was Thunder, and on the next episode, it will be Nitro. And we continue the march towards Sold Out at the end of January. So as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And let me know what you think about these contract signings and the riffs that Ric Flair's already causing, all of our backstage stuff, which just look at this. Like, look at all the red here with all of this. Like, this is going to be a total debacle here when it comes to our backstage. It's just going to be incredible to watch how some of this plays out on that. But on the next episode of our WCW 1998 save, it will be Nitro for week 2 in January. And again, be sure to leave your feedback, all that good stuff. Always enjoy it. This has been a fun save thus far, but we are just getting started as this is sort of the setup for all of our big matches and big shows to come. So, again, thanks for watching this one. On the next episode, it will be the Week 2 January edition of Nitro.